Bears put up a good offensive showing this past weekend against the Detroit Lions, though it was a 17-34 loss because our defense just couldn't do anything against Ben Johnson in this Detroit Lions offense. Cold weather, high winds, and trying to get a better draft pick was all in play for the Chicago Bears. And we got to see the Bears' next potential head coach in Ben Johnson show off what he's got at Soldier Field in his second meeting against the Chicago Bears this year, in 6 in his career. But also on top of it, he got to see what this Chicago Bears offense that he has to work with and what improvements that they need, especially from Bears rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. I'm here to break it all down for you guys today, right here. And thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Roundtable Sports, the NFC North Roundtable specifically. My name is Nick Rohde, part of Just Another Year Chicago Bears, and here's the Bears recap from this weekend. Before I get more into today's video, make sure to like this video and comment your thoughts of the Bears versus Lions game this past week during week 16.
This video is powered by BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 to get your 150% sign-up bonus. Start playing today with an exclusive offer. Shout out to BetUS for being the proud sponsor of Roundtable Sports.
So the Bears offense started to cook after a terrible start. Bears' first 4 offensive drives was a punt, fumble, punt. Both fumbles involved Bears rookie wide receiver Rome Odunze, which he only was credited with one. They credited Caleb Williams with the first one, saying it was a fumble on him. But he had a big day at the end of the day. Both of them did, showing that they could mentally recover from big mistakes, especially early on. Bears offense picked up with nearly 400 yards of total offense in this one against the Detroit Lions, especially from Caleb Williams, who had 330-plus passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, and over 50 rushing yards. 9 games in a row without an interception for the number 1 overall pick, along with 326 passes in a row now without an interception, most ever by a rookie in NFL history. Not only that, he broke another Chicago Bears record, becoming the first Bears rookie quarterback ever to pass for over 3,000 yards in a single season. And on top of that, too, the only Bears quarterback since Jay Cutler back in 2014 to have 4 300-yard plus passing yard games in a single season. So a low bar, to be honest with you guys. But at the same time, it's a Bears rookie quarterback that has had 3 offensive coordinators this year, 2 different head coaches, the worst offensive line in franchise history, and going against arguably the toughest NFC North we've had in a very long time. So he's doing a good job, and it was a big game overall, not just from Caleb Williams, but his targets that made it happen. Keenan Allen, wide receiver we brought in this past offseason with a 4th-round pick, had his first 100-plus receiving yard game as a Chicago Bear. 9 receptions, 141 yards, 15.7 yards per catch, and 1 receiving touchdown. And I want to call it that Allen, since Shane Waldron, our first offensive coordinator this season, was fired, in his last 6 weeks has been insanely solid. 454 total yards, 12.9 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns in 6 games, becoming Caleb Williams' number 1 target during that time. Rome Odunze, though, the rookie that I talked about earlier that had the fumble that started off the game on the 3rd drive, along with the Bears' number 9 overall pick, and could be Caleb Williams' partner in crime for years to come, had a solid game as well. 4 receptions for 77 yards and 19.3 yards per catch. This all came after his fumble mistake. So he was able to, again, mentally come over those mistakes. And good to see Rome have a big game like that. DJ Moore, who has expressed frustrations with this Bears offense this past year, also had a decent game. 7 receptions for 68 yards, 9.3 yards per catch, along with 2 rushes that added up for 10 yards. So DJ Moore is getting involved in this offense. He's finding ways to get things moving and help out not only Bears rookie quarterback Caleb Williams, but the rest of the offense as a whole. And they got DeAndre Swift going from a receiving standpoint because his running game just wasn't there today, but 3 receptions for 33 yards and 11 yard per catch average. And Cole Kmet had his first touchdown in 6 games off 2 receptions for 9 yards. He sold the block really well against Detroit, and that was the Bears' 2nd touchdown of the day. So overall, you know, Caleb Williams is spreading the ball out. He's getting it to different wide receivers. He's getting it to different targets. And these are the guys that are going to be along with the team for a while. Keenan Allen is only on the last year of his contract, but the Bears, he said he wanted to come back to the Bears, and hopefully the Bears want him back. If the Bears don't take him, he's going to go back to LA, he said, or potentially retire. So overall, Keenan Allen playing a really good coaching mentor on the field. You can see that he's working really well with Caleb Williams, and I hope it ends up working. I want to see what Keenan Allen does in the final couple games of this year because he's on pace to have almost 900 receiving yards. DJ Moore just under 1,000 and Rome just under 800. So good to see the spreading of the offense. And a lot of these yards came after we fired Shane Waldron. So it's good to see that he's continuing to do it, and it twice against the Detroit Lions. Our running attack, though, really wasn't there against Detroit. They definitely had our number there. 6 rushes for Caleb Williams for over 50 yards. DeAndre Swift, 9 rushes for 20 yards. So didn't have a big day on the, at least carried it on the ground, but that's because we have no offensive line. And Rashawn Johnson, his first game back since his concussion, 3 games without him, 1 rush for 3 yards. He even had the protective helmet thing on. So overall, the big factor in this one, though, was the Bears' offensive line was bad entering this game, and they got even worse as the game went on, as Braxton Jones is potentially out for the rest of this season and next season with a severe foot and ankle injury, along with Tevin Jenkins, who had a calf injury entering this game, re-ruptured it during the game and did not return. He might be out for the rest of the year too, and that's a guy that potentially the Bears might re-sign. So the Lions definitely did what the Lions do. They put up big numbers. 2 wide receivers with over 100 yards against this Bears defense. Jared Goff with over 300 yards passing. Super impressive. Bears back-to-back games for the first time this year with over 30 points allowed. First time since 2022 that's happened. And the Bears defense flat out has just given up this year. There's no fire like they had at the beginning. You know, a lot of the guys on the show, they were like, wow, this Bears defense is special. They haven't been special the last couple of weeks. They're checked out. They're done. It's unfortunate. And we absolutely have seen that, especially against Ben Johnson and what he's done to this Bears defense this year. Total 880 yards in 2 meetings of offense, 540 passing, 340 rushing, 6.6 yards per play, 0 turnovers, and 57 total points. And he's made Jared Goff continue to look like an MVP, 44 for 66, 557 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and a 121 passer rating overall in the Bears' 2 meetings against him. He had over 300 in this one with 3 passing touchdowns as well and no turnovers. I want to bring up Goff because what Ben Johnson has done with him later in his career, that is what he can potentially do with Caleb Williams if he becomes a head coach. And before the game, we heard from Tom Pelissero that the Bears are very interested in Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson is intrigued by the Bears head coaching job. So good news there for the Bears. But yeah, at the end of the day, Bears got to see what Ben Johnson brought to the table. Ben Johnson got to see what this offense had to the table. Bears obviously also need to go out and get a top defensive coordinator to bring this defense back to the level. We haven't seen Montez Sweat all year. You know, the secondary playing soft zone all the time isn't going to help things out. Bears are just losing in 34 points. Honestly, also looks respectful considering how this Detroit offense started out the game. But at the end of the day, Bears lose this one. Detroit put up another really good game against us, and at least it was somewhat entertaining from a Bears offensive perspective, but the defense just absolutely stunk. So thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Roundtable NFC. Make sure you like this video, and thank you so much for listening to the Bears segment, and we'll see you guys soon. Bear down, baby, and Merry Christmas.
This video is being powered by BetUS, the #1 online sports book in the world. Use code YouTube150 to get your 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your next 2. That's up to $2,000. We got Christmas football this week, folks. The Chiefs and Steelers and the Ravens and Texans. If you guys want to take advantage of the BetUS code YouTube150 to make your bets right here, go to betus.com.pa. We also got all the other games this week. Make sure you guys check out BetUS. They got player prop bets, same game parlays, you name it. All right, so big time shout out to BetUS. Please bet responsibly. The proud sponsor of Roundtable Sports.
All right, so going into the review of this upcoming week around the NFC, obviously the big game of the week is Packers versus Vikings in Minnesota. Honestly, shocked that this one hasn't been flexed yet. Again, this was recorded on Monday night, so it's probably going to get flexed by the time TD and the guys post this one. But I am sure that it will be because of the fact that this is a matchup that could impact the rest of the NFC playoff picture, not only for these two guys, but the entire squad as a whole. Because if the Packers win this one, then Minnesota can't get that #1 spot or the NFC North, and Detroit practically is going to get that bye. That's big for them, especially with the injuries that they have and Aiden Hutchinson potentially being able to come back, along with David Montgomery and a few other guys. But going into this game, Packers, Vikings, the last time these two squared off, we realized the Vikings might be legit, and that was earlier this year. Now we know they're legit. They're at home. They're going to be a tough team to play, especially in Minnesota, one of the toughest places to play in the NFC North, in my personal opinion, especially against the Packers. And the Packers are fighting for a better wild card spot at the moment. They're probably going to make the playoffs. There's a very high percentage of it. But at the end of the day, they're going against a red-hot Sam Darnold and that Vikings offense. Justin Jefferson coming off a big game. A really exciting one against the Seattle Seahawks, who the Bears play later this week, which I'll get into in a minute. But the Vikings defense seems to always play at another level at home. And Jordan Love has always seemed to struggle against Minnesota. So they're going to be sending a house against him, especially with Brian Flores, number one blitzing defense in the NFL, because they know how to shut him down. On top of that, too, Vikings run defense is super tough to go against. If they can't get Jacobs going, this offense is going to have very tough problems. And they're going to have to rely on that defense, which, again, going against a red-hot Minnesota offense. Overall, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game overall, no doubt about it, because the Vikings can win, and they still have a chance to win the NFC North. That's why this game is so important for the rest of the NFC playoff picture. And if the Seahawks can somehow pull up an upset in the Lions game, which I'll get into in a second, it could really change things up. But I think that Minnesota does have this one in the bag. I think it's going to be another exciting one. They just beat Seattle 27-24 this past weekend. But I think that's going to be 28-27. I think there's going to be some crucial mistakes by the Packers in this game because there's a lot of pressure on them. Minnesota's locked in the playoffs. There's no doubt about it with their record. But at the end of the day, Minnesota is a better team, in my personal opinion, than the Packers this year. Not by much. Again, toughest division in football. But Minnesota's got this one 27 Packers, 28 Vikings. I got Sam Darnold throwing 4 touchdown passes in this game. So I'm excited about that one. Let's go over to the Lions game, though. Lions take on the 49ers this week on Monday Night Football. And honestly, the Lions are going to stomp the crap out of them. The Detroit Lions are banged up, but they're still winning ball games. And the 49ers have fallen off. There's no doubt about it. That's good for Bears fans because obviously we don't want to see potentially Kyle Shanahan get canned. There's rumors about it, but I don't think it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, San Francisco and Detroit, both two of the most injury-ridden, starting perspective at least, rosters in the NFL. The Lions are just too red hot, though, at the moment. They just know how to win ball games. They're behind Dan Campbell. They play hard for this guy, and they're so stacked from top to bottom. And having a big game against Chicago at home, their confidence is back in them. They know how good they are against the North. They could be one of the first teams ever to sweep the entire NFC North in a season, which is crazy to say. They're going to bring a ton of pressure on Brock Purdy. They're going to rip up San Francisco's banged up defense, and I think the Lions are in for a big one, 34-13. Jared Goff goes off for 4 touchdowns, and Gibbs has 1 rushing touchdown. It's a statement game for the Lions because, again, if they win this one, they clinch the top spot, depending on how another couple of games go around the NFL. But it's just crazy to say. Lions are going to be playing their hearts out for this one because they need that bye, especially with how banged up their team is. But let's go into this Bears game, shall we? Bears, Seahawks, Thursday Night Football. That's what I meant, that the Bears were taking on the Seahawks this week. I am excited for this game because of how they played against Detroit at home in front of the fans. And this is the last home game of the season. Bears were 4-2 at one point. They got to give the fans something to cheer about, especially with how the season has gone. Play for the fans. Don't play for the coaches anymore is what I'm telling these guys. And on Thursday Night Football, the Bears always seem to have the Seahawks in primetime numbered. Bears have nothing to lose, and after coming off a big performance out of Caleb Williams, especially in his last 6 games, which I didn't even get into the last episode, 65% completion percentage, almost 1,500 passing yards, 10 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 101.2 passer rating over the last 6 games since Shane Waldron's been fired. Along with that, he is now the first Bears quarterback ever to have multiple 300-yard passing games in a single season, 4 of them this year for Caleb Williams so far. Along with that, too, first Bears rookie to pass for over 300 passing yards in a season. He's going to want to continue to break records. He's going to continue to put on a show for the fans. He's going to want to break 20 passing touchdowns this year. He'll be the first Bears rookie quarterback to ever do that, too. But at the end of the day, we want to see progression. We want to see Roma Dunze having a good game. They want to see what Keenan Allen can do. I just want to see the Bears go out and have a really solid game against the Seahawks. But at the end of the day, too, I think that's going to be a loss. And the reason why for this is because the Seahawks are tough. They're coming off a big loss to the Vikings that I just talked about earlier this week. And that was a great game, by the way. And they're still flirting with making the playoffs. But also, if they lose to the Bears somehow, they could get canned out of the playoffs. It's a big, big game here, and the Bears can play spoiler. But the Seahawks are going to come out swinging in this one, especially in prime time. They're on a 2-game losing streak to the NFC North, a 2-game losing streak as a whole. They've lost to the Vikings and now the Packers in back-to-back games. So they're not going to want to lose this one to the Bears, who are on a 9-game losing streak at the moment. It doesn't matter that they're at home. We're going to be missing Braxton Jones, potentially Tevin Jenkins, like I talked about, and because both of them didn't return against the Lions game, and you're going to be going against some third stringers and potentially our rookie third rounder in Krana Magaji, who got torched by the Vikings a few weeks back. But all I want to see out of this one, guys, is put on a good game for progression, especially for the fans and for Caleb Williams. Defense play with a little bit more heart. Get after Geno Smith. Make things exciting. Montez Sweat, get like 2 sacks to make it look respectful that we paid you $24 million this year to at least get 7 sacks in the season. But the Bears contain Geno Smith, get pressure, get some turnovers, will make this a fun game. But the Bears should lose this one. We need a better draft pick and give a good effort, please. I got the Bears losing this one 27-30. That's fine with me. I want a better draft pick at the end of the day, even though that's unfortunately the culture that the Bears have set up for fans. But at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be. That's where it's at right now. And the Bears still have an opportunity to get things done. So at the end of the day, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of NFC North Roundtable Chicago Bears edition. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button on the video if you haven't already. And my name is Nick Brody from Just Another Year Chicago Bears. Make sure you go check out the channel if you want to hear more Bears news and notifications. But with that, thank you as always for tuning in, and bear down, baby.
This video is powered by BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 to get your 150% sign-up bonus. Start playing today with an exclusive offer. Shout out to BetUS for being the proud sponsor of Roundtable Sports.